All right, welcome back to our second segment, and this is the trade of the week, and that's for the weekend of October 11, 2025. As always, I like to start with the gaps. You can see tiny gaps we've had, and we've been filling those quickly. And this is the big sell-off, the tariff story, and you see after hours we talked about after hours how we continued the selling off. So you see, this is where the uh, cash was closed, and then we continued for the next 15 minutes. So um, this is also on a 5 minutes, the future. So I want to show again the moving averages. Once we broke that below moving average, you see how this 20 bar moving average was major resistance. So this was a time not to be a hero. Um, if you're scalping, maybe you would do a little bounce backs, but this was great time to start shorting, but it's easier said than done. I mean, if you would have shorted there and stop there, it would have been a wonderful day. But it doesn't work that way. The markets move so fast that your stops get really hit fast. So this is not a good time to, when things like this happen, I would either you have to be really have the nerves of steel, have wide stop losses, or manually just control them because the movement is like this. So, but on the hindsight, say, oh, this is easy. I could have just bought put options and then just cover at the end. But again, there's a lot of movement. So, but this was a good day if you would have just shorted it below the moving averages. As I said, if we've had a large stop loss. Your internals also were giving you a hint. You can see the volume of S&P, the accumulation distribution. You see we were in way negative. Volume was a negative 2 million. We saw the advanced decline, or it's advancing minus decline. You see we broke down, and that's 10 Chicago time, Central Time, how we broke down of the first hour, and we were in the negative by almost 2,000 issues. And then even the S&P advanced decline, we see there's only 76 S&P members were positive. So even I look at the Dow, for instance, you see how we just way below, continued being below its 20 bar moving average. I did some trades. I was pretty, actually, I did our gold option trade, and that was, so I bought, but as you know, gold was down big time. And, but it was our strategy, so I stuck with it. But what happened, Friday's open, although it moved, but because we were so down and so much down on Friday, I mean on Thursday, I I got hit with uh, three of my targets, but the fourth and fifth one, which is my 100% and 125%, I had to just make it manual because I knew we are not going to go back with the way the markets were behaving. Although we were up, remember we have the theta decay. So I ended up just taking my profits and making sure I made some money rather than just letting it expire or get assigned. It actually ended up going down, and really I would have lost money. So this is how it happened. I bought at 232, got filled at 274, 312. I'm sorry, I was filled for two. Then the rest, I had to do it manually, and I got out at 285. So the average about 25, 27% for the, rather than our average 75 to 80%. So, but anyway, profit is profit. Um, as I mentioned, I also did some trades, was on the short side, using my overbought. So basically, I'm using the moving averages using the 233 ticks. ETFs of the week. So what happened? The Bitcoin miners they're up 27.8%, WGMI. On the other hand, home construction, ITB was 7.2%. The FIG, Simplified Macro Strategy, was up 25.8%. And the Putnam BDC income, PBDC, was down 7.1%. Also, gold. I've been talking about, if you've been following me with this fib extension, we had talked about, and we hit our target so nicely. And as you can see, one by one, all the targets were hit. So we go to our 138.2. That's when Thursday sell-off happened. We had the inside on Friday. I had mentioned to you, I think on Thursday, I sent a video and I mentioned that, we are above the turning line. We are above the, obviously the cloud, DMI positive above negative. So we had a nice bounce. So again, these could be here's your support, here's your resistance. One thing is concerning, and just at least as far as how fast can we move, look at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, actually 8 weeks up in a row. And it's very nice. Momentum is strong. We are overbought, but we are embedded in RSI. So, hey, that works. We had a squeeze and we fired the squeeze. So volume is heavy. So as long as there's uncertainty, the gold will go up. But last week I said, what does gold know that we don't know? And you see how it has continued. Huge moves. All right, let's talk about stocks of the week. We start with our Magnificent Seven. I'm using the RSI as a guidance. You see every bar on Friday is big red candle. So, but NVIDIA compared to other ones was stronger above the 20-day. On the other hand, Tesla broke below its 20-day, above its 50-day. It's Tesla is coming with their more affordable, lower cost cars. Apple, finally, we'll talk about that after hitting its objectives, broke below its 20-day. Microsoft, similar, but below its 50. Google broke below its 20, but above its 50. The Mag 7 ETF broke below its 20. Amazon has had this problem, obviously, because of the HP1, the as far as the visas, big day down, and obviously we have Meta also big down below its 50 and 20-day moving average. So let's look at Apple again. Unexpected move, broke way below its lower edge of expected move. We see how again with Apple we hit nicely our objective, but then we were holding above the turning line, but we broke down. So this is our next support. It's about 240 or so. And then also the turning, the standard line. So, and the DMI positive, the ADX is pretty strong. Still, the trend is strong, but negatives about to cross the positive DMI. So watch this closely. But why did it happen? So everything happens for a reason. We have this double top in Apple at the all-time high here in beginning of the 2025, end of December, actually, right end of December of 24. We just went there, hit it, profit taking, broke below the 20, and next we have 50. So let's see if this will hold some support and bounce back. Again, we'll see MACD has fallen, and we see the divergence in the RSI, and that was a tell sign. Amazon nicely actually had a nice move, went right to the upper edge of expected move, and boom, Friday sell off. NVIDIA close to the upper edge, Friday sell off. I have Tesla, Friday sell off. Just one more thing with the seasonality, it's the United Healthcare. I want to show you from, right? This is seasonality for October, November, and December. So strong months are coming. It's already had a good few months thanks to Warren Buffett. And what we see here, this is going back from October 8th toward the end of the year. By end of the year, in the last 40 years, we've been up 32 years and down 8 years. For the 32 positive years, return has been 16% for the almost 3 months. The negative was down 11%. Um, if you go back 25 years, 21 years, profit has been 14%, and negative years for 4 years have been down 8.5%. So just a thought. That's again my just want to introduce some opportunities. You can see on a weekly, we are below the cloud, but it's a thin cloud, but we are between turning line and standard line. Monthly, we are having resistance against the lower edge of cloud. So just want to introduce this on a daily. We just broke below the turning line, but we are above the cloud, and the lagging line is above the cloud. So we'll watch the if you can come back on the 60 minutes and go above, then maybe it will be a good time. But seasonality again, just want to share that with you. More, we had a squeeze. The squeeze fired. He's still above on a daily basis. We see we are still above the 20 and 50, but below 200. So just sharing that with you. As far as the MACD is very flat. On a weekly basis, we see how the beautiful move till we had those sell-offs. We had a squeeze to downside. So on a weekly basis, we'll see there's resistance there. And whether just by watching this, you can see how, again, October and to December has been positive. All right, scan for squeezes. If you use it, I decided to use Russell 2000. And so there's a lot of green technical from the technical analysis. There's some setups for you. Last week we did have earnings, 11 positive in price, moved up, 14 moved down, 5 positive results, 9 negative, 14 hold. Forward guidance, 6 positive, 5 negative, and 20 hold. What did we have? Applied Digital reported in line with expectations. PepsiCo actually missed, right? But it did say it continues of its earning of $8.16 on 94.515 billion. But the consensus was $8.03 and revenue was 93.33. So remember that Delta Airline beat the expectations. The Tilray brand missed expectations in the cannabis world. And Constellation, well, we got cannabis, we got alcohol. Anyway, they beat the expectations. So you got alcohol, you got cannabis, you got flying, and you got sodas. So anyway, and more. So this is how they behaved. APLD, positive. Pepsi, nice up. Delta Airline, nice gap up, and Friday sold off. Tilray up and down, down, and then not bad. So for those earnings. So what do we have? As I mentioned, pay attention to Tuesday. We have BlackRock, we have Goldman Sachs, we have Citi, Wells Fargo, Johnson and Johnson, Domino, Pizza, and Ericsson, and it will continue. Bank of New York. So basically, it is going to be a heavy week, especially from Tuesday on. And pay attention to these volatility earnings. We have in semiconductor ASML expected to beat, BlackRock is expected to beat, JP Morgan Chase is expected to beat, Taiwan Semiconductor is expected to beat, Goldman Sachs is expected to beat, Wells Fargo is expected to beat, and Johnson and Johnson is expected to beat, Citigroup is expected to beat, and United Airlines is expected to beat. All right. I hope this was useful. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week and a successful one. Thank you so much.